Thy name is Dracula. I am a 600-year-old vampire, and I am here to enslave you for all eternity.
This is the story of Dracula, a creature who destroys all whom he touches. Dracula the terrifying, the feared, who sleeps in the tombs of the dead by day and arises at night to inflict his terror upon the innocent and the unsuspecting.
Oh, you must help me. You must. You're my only hope. You must.
I'll help you. I promise.
History. For those that are unaware, a vampire, according to the online dictionary reference I found, is an unnatural being, commonly believed to be a reanimated corpse that is said to suck the blood of sleeping persons at night. Back at the very end of the 19th century, novelist Bram Stoker wrote a critical piece of English literature that provides a great anchor point for vampire folklore and stories that came before it. Stoker introduced us to one of the most powerful vampires, a count by the name of, you guessed it, Dracula. The novel Dracula was not a huge success when it was first released, with Stoker remaining relatively poor up until his final days. It was not until a good 20 years later on did the new medium provide a fresh blood for the Count. The new medium was film, and the place was Germany. A German expressionist by the name of F.W. Moreau, I probably butchered that pronunciation right there, directed the 1922 horror film Nosferatu. Nosferatu was not an official adaptation of the film, unless the filmmakers were sued by Stoker's heirs. It stands today as an important part of film history, and a very influential one. It was enough though for Hollywood to want to get in on the action, and in 1931 a new version of Dracula appeared, starring a little-known actor by the name of Bela Lugosi. Bela effectively created what many of us know nowadays to be the iconic look, voice and portrayal of the Count himself. Universal Pictures, starting with Dracula 1931, went on to create many of what are considered the classic movie monsters. The Wolfman, the Frankenstein monster, the Mummy. The list goes on and on. Many of the classic monsters were then created yet again, this time in glorious Technicolor, during the 60s by a British film studio called Hammer Films. Hammer Films went on to redo all of the classic monster films, with permission of Universal, of course. And with the addition of colour and the changing times provided audience with plenty of blood, gore and sex. This typically meant that the Hammer films were played in grindhouse cinemas or on late-night television. By today's standards, many of these films will feel rather tame, never reaching higher than a standard mature rating, 15 years or more. The Horror of Dracula, or just Dracula as it was called, upon its release in the UK, makes an attempt at recreating the classic Dracula film with a fresh 60s revamp. It casts what is to be considered the second best portrayal of the Count, Christopher Lee. Brief plot. Jonathan Harker arrives at the Dracula castle with the intention of killing Dracula. When Harker kills what is possibly one of Dracula's supposed converted brides, Dracula takes revenge on Harker by preying on Harker's fiancée. Harker's colleague, Van Helsing, is sent to protect her from the Count's evil clutches. Van Helsing begins a vampire hunt to hunt down the demonic Count and put an end to him once and for all. Stars involved in this production. The two most notable stars appearing in this film are Christopher Lee, who continued to play Dracula in every sequel to the original Hammer Dracula films, except for the second sequel, The Brides of Dracula, which is a misleading title, as the main vampire in it is Baron Meinster, played by David Peel, not Dracula. Dracula doesn't appear in it at all. The other sequels, Dracula Prince of Darkness, Dracula's Risen from the Grave, Taste the Blood of Dracula, and Scars of Dracula, all star Christopher Lee. Peter Cushing, who plays the vampire hunter, Van Helsing, was already well known for his role as the Mad Doctor in the previous year's Hammer horror film hit The Curse of Frankenstein. He would go on to reprise his role in every single one of those sequels. So, opinions and a shot-by-shot analysis. So, what do I think of it? First off, I think I have to ask myself, was actually Harker the first vampire hunter? The film can take a long time to build up, but it's best to hang in there, to get to the good stuff. In doing so, though, it builds up a good level of suspense. There's a very definite lull in action around the mid-mark, where there's a lot of exposition going on, and the explanation of what vampires are, and most importantly, how to kill vampires. Don't be disenfranchised. The rest of the film presents a superb use of colour in almost every scene. The reds, the greens, the blues are all bright and vivid, and unlike nowadays, the filmmakers could not go back and correct the film using digital techniques. They had to get it right the first time, or maybe a few takes after that. But whatever appeared on film was on film. This is especially relevant in the sets that were brilliant. They provide a spooky and eerie atmosphere that sets up the universe that we're in to a T. What sells this film for me is the main two actors. Both Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee portray a magnificent performance as both Van Helsing and Dracula respectively. While Peter Cushing provides all the explanation and setting up in the story, most of the scene stealing goes to Christopher Lee as Dracula. While he does not appear a great deal in the screen, when he does, you know that shit is going to happen. To sum up, I've had my doubts about these films. To follow Bela Lugosi's Dracula was difficult, to say the least. I think they've created their own version that not only pays homage to the original, but provides something new and fresh. All in all, good stuff. Look forward to the sequels.
Now, don't you worry. We'll soon have you well again.
Goodbye, Doctor. I'm sorry you've had a wasted journey. About Jonathan, I mean.
It wasn't wasted, I promise you. Good day, Miss Lucy.
Quality. I watched this as an MPEG-4 stream version on my Apple TV, presenting 1.661 aspect ratio, which is kind of widescreen-ish, very large widescreen. While it's not up to Blu-ray quality, the film was presented well and had the well-known gore and colour tones that Hammer films are well known for, that they're shown in good, vibrant detail here. Sound quality. The mono soundtrack is delivered well, dialogue is clear and precise, music hits full on, well through the forward speakers for those spine-chilling scary moments. Budget. The film was made for an estimated £81,000. I've got no information about how much it recouped at the box office. Availability. I was able to find the film on iTunes for a few dollars to be able to rent to stream. I suspect it's on many other streaming services due to its popularity. Many DVD versions of the film exist in a variety of horror film compilations. Of note, there has been the original 2002 version of the film. I think this is the version I watched on the streaming service. An updated uncut re-release in 2007. In 2012, a Blu-ray version was released, which has a 2007 re-release and a new high-definition restored version containing previously believed to be lost footage. At the moment, both the 2007 and 2012 re-release have only ever been released in the UK, with the Blu-ray release region locked to Region B, which is the standard PAL-based territories. So unlucky on America there, unless you've got a region-free Blu-ray player. So, overall, what do I think of the film? It's absolutely a great film. It doesn't try to outdo its predecessor. Instead, it provides something that builds upon the legend, at the same time providing a fresh, new experience. For me, On the Bar, it's definitely a must-see.